Hey, Sean. If you don't know me, I'm a video producer in St. Louis, Missouri, and I just finished taking Casey Neistat's monthly.com online course. And I've been asked by some of my friends and colleagues and peers, as well as in comments on YouTube lately, should I take the class? Should you take the class? And so I'm going to walk through yes or no and why as quickly as I can. The yes or no depends on who you are. If you're a beginner to filmmaking, I think absolutely. There's a lot here in this course, and you can find tutorials on how to use your camera, how to edit, what storytelling is, 3-act stories, all this sort of stuff. But it's really valuable to watch someone from start to finish create a video. And Casey does it in this class twice. And seeing somebody conceptualize and then have a plan for filming and then edit and deal with any problems that came up along the way, that has serious value, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a more experienced filmmaker, then I think it depends on the type of person you are. If you're the type of person who's eager to learn, who's eager to watch someone else's process and see how you could improve or change your own, or just seeing how somebody with a different culture or perspective might approach the same story you would with different context or connotation, then I think you'll enjoy this class and you'll get something out of it. And if you're a more experienced filmmaker who crosses your arms and says, I've been doing this longer than he has, I don't know if there's going to be anything, you probably won't get anything out of the course or any course. But here's my why. The class has 3 big pros and 2 big cons for me, and I'll get the cons out of the way. Number 1, it's expensive. It's $250, and especially if you're a beginner, if you're just getting started, $250 is a great microphone. It's a lens, it's gear. Even if you're a more established producer, $250 is a car payment. It's money. And so I'm not saying the class isn't worth $250, but I'm saying it's a con because there are people for whom this class will be inaccessible just because of how expensive it is. The second con is that most of this class depends on the peer group. It's split into tutorials from Casey, and then everything else you do, you're posting to this peer group where you're getting comments and feedback, and you're seeing other people's posts. And so you might have a great peer group and a great experience, or you might have a less engaged peer group. Peer group is not as patient with giving advice or feedback. And so it's a con of the course, I think, because so much of your experience is dependent upon the experience level and the commitment level of the other people in your peer group. Now, for me, there are 3 pros, and the first one is even if you're an experienced filmmaker, watching other people do these same assignments with the same prompts as you has value. Seeing other people approach these things with their lens is uniquely interesting, and you learn things from that. And even watching the tutorials, even if there wasn't like, oh, I didn't know how to edit and now I do, there's little things that I was reminded of as I took the course, like time lapses. I never use time lapses in my work, but watching Casey use them and then watching a couple other people tell stories similar to mine in these assignments, but using time lapses, I was like, oh, that's actually, I could do that. That's smart. And it's not that I didn't know about time lapses before, but just seeing other people utilize these tools in different ways, that had value for me. Secondly, it's nice that it's a course because it gives you the excuse to create. And to try things because they're assignments. It's not your work. It's not your portfolio. It's not your life. And especially if you're an established producer or a YouTuber, it can be difficult to try something a little different or to put yourself out there because your fans, your subscribers, your followers might not appreciate it. They might wonder what you're doing. They might be like, hey, why is this guy trying to make a Casey Neistat style video? But you learn so much by doing things differently. And for me, it was really valuable to be able to approach these 2 assignments and approach them in completely different ways than I normally explain things to camera and talk a lot. And in one of my videos, I didn't talk at all. There's no narration whatsoever. I learned a ton from that, but I think it would be received differently by people outside of the course. And so for some people, that may be a huge pro to be able to say, not only am I going to try something different, but also it's inherently okay for that different something to be very imperfect and to focus on the lessons you'll learn from it instead of just trying to have some trophy for your portfolio. And lastly, this was the biggest takeaway for me. Watching Casey create and struggle and struggle to create and run into problems and make mistakes had a lot of value for me. Not that I'm rooting for him to struggle or fail, but when you watch someone whose portfolio, all the work that they do, their channel, whatever, has this element of polish to it, and you can look at that and be like, man, he can get on a flight and get off the flight and have an amazing video. I can't do that. He's got something I don't have. This comes so easy to him. And it reminded me of the Beatles documentary. And I'm not necessarily comparing Casey Neistat to the Beatles, but maybe I am. Relax. Watching that documentary and watching them struggle to write songs where you may think, like, only hearing the final album, or insert any artist here. If there's somebody you really appreciate, you may think, oh, wow, they're a great singer. They hit that high note amazingly. What an amazing album. But there's so many takes. There's takes where they missed that high note. And there's takes where the Beatles, they didn't write a perfect song on the first draft every time. And they got mad at each other and they fought. And watching Casey struggle, and not only struggle, but then seeing how he approaches those problems, how he anticipates that struggle and then works through it, that had serious value for me. And I think in any of these fields, knowing that it's not that there are just people who are genetically different than you, that like, oh, they can create videos, you can't. They've got something you don't. Seeing that everyone struggles and watching Casey's struggle and how he works through it was incredibly valuable for me to see firsthand. So those are my pros and cons. I enjoyed the class and I got value out of it. I'm hesitant to recommend it only because of how much of the experience can depend on the peer group. But I think if you're somebody who's eager to learn and somebody who's willing to give so that you can get something out of the class, I think you'll enjoy it and I think you'll have a good experience. That's all I got. If you took the course and you want to share your thoughts, I'd love to hear your experience. If you've got any questions, if you're thinking about taking the course, feel free to throw them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. But that's it. Have a great night, day, whatever, wherever. See you later. Bye.